Hey everybody, it's Mary. Welcome back to the channel. Today I am taking part in a super fun blog hop created by Create in Spain. She initiated this and we are just going to have a lot of fun hopping around and figuring out what everyone's playing with. But before we get into that, I'm going to show you real quick here on the screen. These are the colors I'll be using from the Arteza Watercolor tube line. Here is my color chart. I did a full review on the watercolors from an amateur's perspective as far as watercolors go. And this swatch, as I stated there, was done on a 140-pound cardstock from Arteza. Now, I am pulling out this From the Garden stamp set. This is a Stampin' Up, I want to say almost probably my first stamp I ever got, or background for sure. And I pulled it out for this hop because I felt like this hop was so fun because the theme was floral. Here I'm showing you my dual water jug thingy. It says war paint. It's awesome. Side note, I got that at a home goods store, so just look around for good deals. But anyway, I have had this stamp set in my stash forever since I started card making. I want to say that was circa 2008. So I thought, hey, how fun, get back in your stash. What are the sets that you just could not let go? And then I also thought this was perfect for me to practice my watercoloring. So if you're new to my channel, I have recently taken an interest in learning how to watercolor, I want to say organically, because, and I just used air quotes in case you didn't notice, but because I am really getting comfortable with using the real brush pens, and that to me is a great way to kind of have introduced myself to the idea of watercoloring. There's a little bit of control with those pens. There is a little bit of fallback. I don't really know how to explain it. I just don't feel like I have to be as free with it. It's almost like coloring with markers. So I started off doing that, and then I was just watching artists on YouTube that just inspired me so much and were very encouraging, reminding us that watercoloring is a very forgiving technique. And what forgiving means is if you mess up, even if I went outside the lines, I could remove that quite easily with a little bit of clean water. That's one way they're forgiving. Another way is they kind of have a mind of their own, so they mix. And as long as you're using colors that blend well and not like in opposite ends to make muddy colors, then you're probably going to end up with a really pretty result, especially when you're doing florals. So I feel like flowers are some of the most free living things out in there. They just look how they want and be how they want, and there's no two that are exactly the same, at least from my perspective. I'm not a botanist or a flower expert, but I just feel like you can really have some let go of the control when it comes to watercoloring florals. And I think that is why I, A, was so excited about this, participating in this hop, to share that message with you all, and then B, because it's just fun. It's just fun. And so, also a side note, if this looks semi-familiar to you, this little reel here in my video made it into the bloopers that I posted about a week ago or so. So, yeah, this is when AJ just needed to be fed. So if you haven't seen the blooper reel, I'll link it at the end. You should check that out. Because the struggle is real in the craft room, particularly when you're with children in the craft room. Anyway, so yeah, so I've been taking an interest in watercolors a lot lately, and just practicing and playing and feeling a little bit vulnerable to share some of those projects with you, because I just look at all the amazing talent that's out there, and it's, like I said though, they've encouraged and inspired us to just go for it. And I'm never going to get better if I don't try. And so here's me practicing. And so this is why I chose this stamp set. It's why I chose to do watercoloring. And I'm hoping that if watercoloring intimidates you, that you put that aside and just enjoy it. Just go for it and just have fun. and it doesn't matter what it looks like. And if you created mud, well, then next time you know not to use those colors. That's the best thing I can say. So yeah, so I'm here to encourage you. Now, what I'm doing with this flower is I'm building up color. This purple one is going to be very bold and very bright. And I know that there are techniques that I definitely want to increase and hone those skills. And I think Kelly Latavola does an incredible job at the shadowing of her flowers, which I really think part of my problem is I need to get a really thin brush or use it. I think I might even have one. I don't know why I'm not using it, but yeah, so to do kind of like those outlines. So I've been watching a lot of her videos lately and just practicing those techniques. But I also know that the buildup of the color is what I was looking for, so I was really excited about that. These Arteza water tubes are incredibly fun to play with. The color is so vibrant and rich and creamy, and I by no means can compare them to expensive watercolors because I don't have them. But if you're starting out like me, this is an incredible set. It's a 60 set of tubes, and I'll link all that if you want to check it out, but there's not a color that you don't get. That's just it. And if there is, you can mix it because there's so many colors. I will tell you though, I learned this as I was trying to share these colors with my daughter. So we got her a little paint tube holder, not a paint tube holder, but like a palette that closes, a little case. And so we filled it up with 33 different colors and that she chose, and they dried out and cracked. And that's because they're missing an ingredient to keep them like cased watercolors. Like, you know, when you buy, the word is escaping me, but you guys get what I'm saying. Anyway, I watched the Frugal Crafter Lindsay, and she said that you can add something to that. So I believe it's like an oil, or if you know, link below. Is it glycerin? Is it oil? But share with us if you know that answer, because that will keep it from breaking. So that's a great tip and good to know. But yeah, you can't just stick them in there and expect they'll crack up and break, and it's no good. But if you keep them in the tubes, yeah, these are going to last me forever. Come back to YouTube in about 10 years, and I assure you I will probably still have them. Okay, so I'm working on the second card here, the second flower. I'm not going to show you the leaves because I did the leaves similarly, but I am showing you that I'm using a very different color palette. So the lilacs, the lilac lavender, and then the orange red, and then the yellow. And so I'm getting in a very different look. Also, I heat embossed both of these images. The left is silver heat embossed, and the right is white heat embossed. So if you'll notice, the center of my flower on the right is actually kind of taken over by white embossing powder that's been heat set. And so it's hard to get any color in there. A little disappointed at that when I was coloring them, but I also, after it was all said and done, I loved the card and the flower, so it didn't bother me too much. But just a note, I was able to get a little bit more of that gold or yellowish color in the center of the left flower than I was the right. So I wanted to just make a note of that. I was trying to go for like a no-line watercoloring, but you're not going to be able to necessarily do that when you heat emboss it because the white is going to resist it, and you're going to get those delineated lines in between your flower. So there's that. Okay, I took out some of this Delusions black paint. Now, this is a note for all of you who attempt to replicate this. Please make sure that your watercolor image is completely dry before you do that. If it's not, your black is not going to be little dots. It's going to spread out because it's attracted to the water. It's paint. So that was a mistake I made. But again, it didn't stop me. That was okay. Okay, I'm using a Lawn Fawn rectangle stitch die on the right card, on the orange one, and then I'm using a Hero Arts infinity die with the rounded corners on the left. I'm having a lot of fun with these infinity dies. I don't think they're necessary. If it's a nice to have, great, but if you have a corner rounder, you can just do that and use that on your card to get that soft look. Now I keep my sentiments in this little container here off to the side of my desk because sometimes I don't like to spend a whole bunch of time making sentiments. There's a lot that goes into that, meaning the steps of making a sentiment for one card. So I kind of do it along the way in multiples, and just stack them up in there. This way I can pull them out. And these are the two I chose. Hello, let's chat soon, and thanks for who you are, or thanks for something. Being you. I think that's what it is. So I'm going to add these down to my cards, and I love that they're a simple sentiment, and I love that they don't detract from the cards, the flowers themselves. So then, of course, I'm going to add some Nuvo glue. I have Nuvo glue in that little precision bottle there. So I'm going to add that to my very intricate hello die. This hello die I'm not able to link. I got it a very long time ago. One of my first sentiment dies. I'll try to find it, but I doubt I will be able to. And then the thanks is Lawn Fawn. I love Lawn Fawn's bold sentiments. They're so great, and they're really easy to work with on your projects because they're a thicker sentiment, so you could kind of double them up easier, and they're nice to work with. So here I'm going to put some fun foam behind my card panels, and I watched a scrapbook.com video on how to add this scrapbook adhesive to your projects, which was genius. Not the way I was doing it. It was definitely harder. So this is how you should do this. And I decided to, because I got this huge mama roll. I mean, this is the grand mama roll. And I decided to cover my entire fun foam piece because that's going to make it easier for me to work with. And also you can cut it down with your guillotine trimmer. And so this is exactly why I'm opting to do that, because now I can get the perfect size of foam backings for my card panels. And so it just makes it really great. Also, I didn't have much warping with my cardstock that I was using, but if you did, this will help even that out and combat that warping almost perfectly. So I'm going to place down my scrapbook.com covered fun foam. And this isn't very thick fun foam, but it's just enough to give that panel some interest. And then I'm going to lay that down. As you can see, I kept the gray panels behind, both in rectangle form. I didn't round them, and I kind of liked that. So I was okay with not rounding it to match the rounded one on the left. Here I am going to put some dewdrops on the left card to add some of those really fun accents. I thought this was I love these dewdrops. You can also replicate these dewdrops with some glossy accents or some Nuvo drops. And then I took to Nuvo drops on this card panel. And this is the White Blizzard Nuvo glitter drop. I thought that was a lot of fun. So there's a little close-up on that. And a lot of times those will pick up the colors from behind the Nuvo drop. So be aware of that if that's not something you're looking for, where these clear ones just stay clear. So there's some close-ups of the project. Thank you so much for stopping by, for hopping along with us. Thank you to Create in Spain for starting and initiating this hop and for inviting me. This was so much fun. It was great to pull out an old stamp set that I just love and I've kept for all these years, and to give it some more love and show you guys. And I also want to sign off by encouraging you to try watercoloring if it has always interested you but intimidated you, because you got this. I'll link everything below. Don't forget to hit subscribe if you want to see more from me, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.